Have you ever watched someone rich enough to buy anything finally hit the one thing money couldn't fix? I was engaged to Camille for a year and a half. Her family didn't have money the way normal people have money. They had the kind that owns buildings with their name on them and gets phone calls answered on the first ring. Her mother, Diane, ran all of it. The businesses, the charities, the family, and I slowly realized, Camille. From the very beginning, Diane looked at me the way you look at a stain you're deciding whether it's worth the effort to remove. I told myself love was enough. Camille said all the right things. We picked a venue, sent the invitations, tasted the cake. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, Camille called it off. She didn't do it privately. She did it in a way that let everyone else hear the version she wanted them to hear. She told our families, our friends, half the city, that she'd ended things because her mother's spiritual advisor had read our charts and warned that a marriage between us was cursed, that I would bring ruin on their family. A curse. That was the official story. People actually nodded along, because when a family like hers says something, others find reasons to believe it. What she left out was that she'd spent the last 3 months quietly seeing a man named Adrian, a slick, well-dressed investor Diane adored, the kind of match the family had wanted all along. The curse was just the polite fiction that let them trade me in without anyone looking too closely. I was humiliated, but more than that, I was tired. I handed back the ring, moved out of the apartment her family technically owned, and went to stay with my brother. I figured the worst was over. I was wrong about how far a family like that would go. It wasn't. The calls came first. Blocked number. Always at night. Always Diane's assistant relaying her words in that flat, rehearsed tone. I was to say nothing about the family, to anyone, ever. Then things got quieter and stranger. My manager suddenly started documenting every small thing I did at work, and within a month I was let go for restructuring. A car I didn't recognize sat outside my brother's building 3 evenings in a row. When I confronted the driver, he just rolled up his window and pulled away. Diane wasn't threatening me with fists. She was threatening me with the slow, expensive erasure that only money can buy, so I stopped fighting it. I found a new job across the city, kept my head down, and let them believe they'd won. Then, 8 months later, a black car pulled up beside me as I walked home, and a man I half recognized as one of Diane's people rolled down the window. "Mrs. Ashford would like a word," he said. It wasn't really a request. I got in, mostly out of curiosity, and he drove me to the estate I never thought I'd see again. Diane was waiting in the same sitting room where she'd once made me feel 2 inches tall, but she looked different now, smaller, tightly wound, her hands not quite steady around her teacup. Camille sat in the corner, pale, saying nothing. "I'll be direct," Diane said. "Adrian was not who he claimed to be." Her voice thinned. "He used our name to raise money from our friends. Then he disappeared. Those investors are threatening lawsuits. There's press. We are 3 weeks from closing a merger that took my late husband 20 years to build, and if this scandal breaks before then, the deal dies and takes the family with it." She set the cup down. "I need your help. Appear at a function. Tell people you and Camille simply grew apart, that we treated you honorably, that there was never any bad blood. One evening of grace, and the story becomes boring instead of ugly." She looked at me with something I'd never seen on her face before. "I'll make you extraordinarily comfortable. Name the number." For a second I thought about it. Not the money, the strangeness of it. This woman had spent a year and a half deciding I was beneath her, had erased me from my own life, and was now asking me to lend her mine. I stood up. "When you decided I was a curse," I said quietly, "you taught everyone how easy it was to throw me away. I'd hate to make a liar out of you now." Diane opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Camille finally looked at me, and I held her eyes for just a moment before I turned toward the door. "I hope it works out for you," I said. "Truly, best of luck." Then I walked out, past the driver, into the cold, clean air, and for the first time in a year and a half, I didn't look back.